Welcome back. All right, so I want to talk about something not hockey here that's going around the internet. And, on the Entertainment Guy, you guys will get varied videos. And I wanted to talk about relationships. Why? Because the Jonah Hill situation that I've, become aware of over the last 24 hours because I'm old, so I don't know exactly when things happen anymore. Yeah, the kids don't tell me, hey, internet guy, gotta get over here and see this. This is something you got to see. So Jonah Hill's ex-girlfriend posting some text that he sent her and basically stating he's misogynistic and all this, and it gets worse from there. Now, I'm not going to critique the texts that were sent. I'm just going to give my own opinion on some of these behaviors because we've seen this before. And it's something that I know Yvonne and I have talked about because we met through online dating. Obviously, I'm not her first relationship. She's not my first relationship. And we've talked about healthy relationships and unhealthy. And one of the reasons that it works between my wife and I is because before we met, we went over everything. And I sometimes think that couples will meet and it's just, hey, she's cute, or hey, he's a nice guy, and then they end up together before really deciding how this is going to work. And I do think that that's an important step people need to take a little more often is the whole think it through first. Is this going to work? And one reason why I never really had long-term relationships in my teens and early 20s was I would very quickly perceive this won't work, and I whether it was a BS reason or it was real, there'd be a reason I'd come up with in my mind and go, yeah, this isn't going to work. And it was something eventually I had to learn to kind of quiet that voice down. And to be honest, I kind of wish I hadn't. I kind of wish I had stayed that way. Because, yeah, I might have been single a lot longer, but I probably would have had a better experience. So between my wife and I, and again, people say, oh, couple goals, and Shannon and Yvonne, this is something we kind of evolved with this. Now, in my house, there's no who wears the pants in the family. We both do. We both like to wear pants, and we both like to make decisions. It's crazy, and we like to make decisions together. Whether it pertains to our holidays, whether it pertains to the kids, whether it pertains to buying a vehicle. When we moved to this house, that was the decision we made together. We went back and forth on certain things that have taken place involving the channel. But even changes that are made to the channel, I very often will discuss it with her, whether it's this channel or the other channel, and we come to some sort of an agreement. And I would say that that is the best kind of relationship I've had. Maybe it's not for everybody, but it's the best relationship that I've had because I feel like my opinion matters and she feels like her opinion matters. And I've not always felt like my opinion has mattered. She has not always felt like her opinion has mattered. So once you have that in a relationship, it is, I think, key that you insist on that going forward. Now, there's certain things that I see people, and I've always found it interesting. I remember there used to be a show, and I apologize for the language of the title, but I think it was called Porno Valley, and it was sex workers, it was adult film stars, and what I always found interesting was that these young women working in the industry would get a boyfriend, and one of the first things that boyfriend would do is say, "Yeah, you got to get out of that industry. You got to get out of that. You can't do that anymore. That you've got to stop. I insist that you stop." And I know that there are instances now. And part of what we were seeing with the Jonah Hill situation was that he starts dating somebody who's a surfer and has, a good following on social media. And one of the first things he wants is her to remove any bathing suit pictures. Any pictures of her in a bathing suit, she's a surfer. So that's going to really severely impact her job. And it's one of those things that if you can't accept what that person does for a living, don't ask them out. Because the idea that you're going to change somebody, and I've got here, accept them as they are, don't try to change them, is because I was talking to Yvonne while I was putting this together, and that's something her and I very much agree on, is accept the other person for how they are and who they are, and don't try to change them. Don't go into a relationship with the idea of, well, I can change that, because either you won't be able to change it and you're going to get mad, or maybe they do change it and then they resent you for it. And I think that's part of what we've seen with this whole texting thing. I think he's been resented for the fact that, she made these changes and then it still didn't work out, right? So there are certain things that I don't consider to be any of my business. with my wife. It's none of my business what she wears. She can wear whatever she wants. If she wants to walk around in Vegas wearing Vegasy looking dresses, and Vegasy looking dresses are a lot of fun. Sometimes they're revealing. That's up to her. I have no say in that, and that's definitely a vice versa situation as well. I definitely have tried at times to alter what I wear to make other people happy, and it just makes me feel like I'm out of place, like I'm not myself, and sometimes I'm just not comfortable. I'm not comfortable wearing this. I'm not comfortable. This is not me, right? So I that's really important. And then the who she talks to. I have never once gone to her phone with the wonder who she's talking to. Wonder what's going on there. And I don't care. I don't care if it's men. I don't care if it's women. It's none of my business. There's one friend of ours who was in federal prison in the U.S. and she was talking to him a lot before he was released, talking to him almost every day, and sometimes helping him out a little bit because you don't really get paid in prison. So trying to make sure life's a little bit better for him as he was getting ready to be released. I never once got jealous. I never once said, "Well, no, you have to stop. Like we've helped him out enough. We're not helping him anymore. Stop it." In fact, I told her, I said, when he gets out, I think we should do more. Because with anybody getting out, especially if they've been in prison for a long time, the number one thing you have to worry about is somebody reoffending and going back. And the way that the system works, it can be very hard for somebody coming out to find a job and have a living and a life and not the judgment of others. Because as much as people say, well, you have to go pay your debt to society, society sometimes doesn't accept that your debt's been paid and just says, oh, you're in prison. So I mean, I feel like I came out of that with somebody who, when we go to the States, we go out for coffee with them, sit and talk to him, and I officially would have a bodyguard if he was around, because he's a big guy, covered in tattoos, head to toe. Yeah, that's gonna. I think Vaughn said he's like 6'6" or 6'7", something ridiculous. 6'3", 6'5", 6. It's a lot, and especially considering I'm 4'2" and all that. So I never once thought there could be something going on. There might be something, and the thing is, I have been cheated on. It has happened, and it hurts, and it's a really painful experience. But I can't take that painful experience and transfer that to the person I'm with. That's not fair to her. Yvonne's never cheated on me, so why should I take that feeling from before and use that as a cudgel and say I can't trust you because of what happened to me before? That's not fair, right? So if I didn't feel like I could trust, I wouldn't be in a relationship. I would have stayed single. It's also none of my business what she watches, what she reads. She can watch whatever she wants on TV. She can read whatever the heck she wants. I've never once said anything to her about going to church. She goes to church. I don't. We accept that about each other. I've talked about that in previous videos. And it wouldn't be any of my business if she decided, today I'm going to swear like a sailor. All right, that's none of my business either. The language unbecoming of a woman, it really, it's not my I don't care. And the funny thing is that these are all things too that she has provided for me. So if I'm talking to a woman on social media, various different messengers and forms of communicating, she never goes through my phone checking things. She doesn't go through my email looking for anything. I don't go through her email looking for anything. And it really does. It does make things better. To me, it makes things easier when you have that level of trust. And that if you're still carrying around this baggage that means that you're going to try to change somebody to meet what you think they should be, then why don't you find somebody who already meets that ideal, For like a horrible analogy would be, you don't buy a Volkswagen to turn it into a Mustang. You don't buy a Mustang to turn it into a Volkswagen. That's not how it works. Well, you can't change people any easier than you can change the make of a car. And really, it is just, it's weird. And I wanted to put in here too, past shaming is one thing that I hate. I have seen this, and I'm talking decades back. And it can be the guy, it can be the girl, it really can, where they'll say, well, before they were with me, they partied a lot. and they did all kinds of crazy stuff. And I really, I don't know if I can accept that. Well, it wasn't your past. One thing too with Yvonne and I don't know a lot of her past. We really don't get into it. We didn't get into counting boyfriends and girlfriends we've had. We didn't get into making up charts and all that. And I mean, I've had that experience of making lists and whatnot and going through the past. It just doesn't work out very well. And shaming somebody because maybe they partied a lot when they were younger. Maybe they have a lot of exes. It's not really your place. I know in the movie Clerks, there's of course the hilarious 37, right? 37 with Veronica, and it's funny, but the line that always resonated to me was Veronica saying to Dante, "Right, and you're number 37, meaning I've been loyal to you the entire time we've been together." And that's the thing. It doesn't matter what happened before you two were together. It's what happens while you two are together. And I really think that that's important. Now there are exceptions. If you meet up with somebody and you're dating for a while and they're like, "Oh man, I really like being with you. You're not going to end up under the garage." And you'd start thinking, so there's bodies in the garage, huh? Huh. That's a good reason to hold somebody's past against them and maybe get some excavators to check out what's under the garage. But outside of those ridiculous examples, the general everyday stuff that people do, it is what it is, right? And there are certain guidelines that people might have towards, well, I think your behavior is bad because, but it's not my life. And that's kind of how I look at it. So when I'm at a church and I hear somebody say something at a pulpit that I go, I don't believe in that, I'm not going to judge them for it. But also, I'm not going to say I should date that person and change their mind. It's just not how that works, right? Because again, if somebody changes for their significant other, they'll probably resent them. It might not be right away. Early on, you might be like, yeah, it's kind of annoying, but it's fine. It's fine. I needed to change that anyways. But eventually, it kind of becomes, you know what? I liked how things were before, and then that resentment takes over, and it builds and it builds, and it can come out in other ways, and that's where you might have infidelity. You might have all these secrets. That to me is the key thing. Is when you start trying to tell somebody what they can do and what they can watch and it might be because you're insecure and you're worried about somebody cheating, but in my experience, being worried about it doesn't mean it won't happen, and being worried about it doesn't mean it will happen. It has no effect on whether or not it happens. You're just stressing yourself out, probably stressing the other person out as well. Trust is really, really key to make a relationship work. And so what I saw in these texts and this back and forth and this whole thing with Jonah Hill and all that was there wasn't trust. That was the key thing to me. There wasn't trust. All the rest I can just say whatever and throw that aside. But to me, it's about trust. And so once you trust somebody, all this becomes, it's none of your business. Doesn't matter what she or he wears. It doesn't matter where they go. It doesn't matter who their friends are. It is about trusting that other person. And if you're laying there asleep at night and thinking, or can't sleep at night thinking, my significant other's out at the bar tonight, are they going to stay loyal? And if that's your key worry, then that trust has already been eroded, and that's a problem. And again, I've been on the accused side. I don't think I've ever accused anybody of cheating. I really haven't, because it's not gonna make it not happen. It's just not. I've seen situations within my family. I've seen situations with friends of mine where the accusation comes out, and I'm like, that's not happening. It's not happening at all. So and then it just becomes this whole big blow up where it doesn't really have to happen. Just trust the other person. It's the best advice I can give. Just trust the other person is who they say they are, and that they care about you the way that they say they do, and take it from there. So when Yvonne and I go to Las Vegas, if she decides she's going to go walk around for hours while I'm doing videos, which has happened before, I don't sit there thinking, gee, there's tens of thousands of people. Who knows who she might be meeting with, and her phone was going crazy. I don't care. It's fine. So even if she says, yeah, I'm going to meet a few people while I'm out I've been talking to, and Okay, cool. I'll see you a couple hours. I'll text you when I'm done here, and we'll meet up. And I really genuinely don't worry about it, but I never have. And again, I've been cheated on, and it sucks. Do I wish I could go back and be jealous and possessive? No, because the person that cheated on me still would have cheated on me, and the previous person that cheated on me still would have cheated on me. The only difference is I would have looked crazy before or during the cheating process. And I might have sped up the cheating when it happened, right? Might have made it more likely for the person to say, you know what, he's kind of a jerk. I'm going to run off. So you can't force loyalty. You can't force respect. But I do think that respect, and I've seen the respect should be earned, not given. In a relationship, if it's not there, it, in my experience, likely doesn't end up getting earned either. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. And again, respect is the key thing to me, and accepting the person as they are. So if you really like somebody and you're like, oh, they're fine, they're great, they drink a lot, I can make that stop. I can change that. You probably won't. You'll probably drive yourself crazy and probably drive them crazy at the same time. But anyways, that's one man's opinion. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support as always. And don't jump off the back of a boat going at full speed. I should make that my closing on this channel from now on. Thank you guys so much for everything. I will talk to you again soon.